Gideon is the new lightweight hunting stock from Foundation. We're excited to give you the world's first in-depth look at Gideon, including all new materials, construction, and manufacturing methods, resulting in a stock that feels and shoots like no other. Hey guys, Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. We're back with John Kyle Truitt, owner of Foundation Stocks. Thank you so much for coming out, John Kyle.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Always a good time shooting. So, rewind to the SHOT Show this year. You know, John Kyle had been telling me about Gideon for a while. I don't think it was even named Gideon when we were
We actually had a
talking
different
about
name,
it.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it got changed. Yes, sir.
I was all excited to see it at the SHOT Show. I think we made multiple attempts at meeting up. One of them was at the Hawkins Precision booth, and it was like, it just never happened. So fast forward months later, when I get my hands on this, just recently, this is awesome. It's even better than I thought it was going to be.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Let's talk about what is Gideon.
Yeah, so the Gideon stock is something we've been working on for quite a while. It's the first stock in our new hybrid line, which is our hunting line, if you will. People have been asking for lightweight foundation for years, and here we are.
Very good. And there's some things about this that are fundamentally different.
There are. Yes, this has been a process, if you will. It's one of those deals that when we went into it with the requests, the consistent requests, you know, many of our shooters are competition shooters, but quite a few competition shooters hunt, and then quite a few hunters, you know, have an eye on the competition world, may not necessarily go out and compete actively, but they see what the guys are using. And so our foundation stocks perform extremely well in the competition circles. But one of the things about them that doesn't apply to hunting is that they are heavy.
Yes.
So we built some lighter stocks. We built a Revelation stock. We built a Dominion stock. But just still, we weren't at that level where guys were packing them in up the mountain on an elk hunt, like I'm fixing to do at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And so our goal was to develop a stock that was still a foundation in its core, but to have it in a 2-pound stock range.
So it incorporates micarta, for instance.
It incorporates micarta, yes.
Yep. But it can't be solid micarta because that's heavy.
That is heavy, yes, yes. So in fact, it's kind of funny because some of the bench rest crowd had reached out on some stocks at some points, and I'm not totally familiar with all the weight limits, but at one point I remember, I think I was speaking with Tom Jacobs from Vapor Trail Bullets, and our cheek piece on our competition stock was close to the weight limit of what he needed on this specific build, whatever class that was. So it was funny, but it was a test. It showed us, hey, we're very dense, very homogeneous. Micarta is a great material for competition stocks, but if you're trying to go light, it has its challenges.
So at a high level, what kind of options do we have here? This is a 6GT. We'll tell you about this rifle build a little bit later in the video. So this is a short action, and this is inlet for, you know, Remington 700 clone. What kind of options can people explore with Gideon at this point?
Sure, yep. So it's available in a short action and a long action configuration. As far as the inlets are concerned, now we do have very specific inlets, like you know we've spoken about. So we can, it is a Remington 700 footprint. We have a different action in it right now than that is specifically inletted for. Really where it comes down to rubber hitting the road is going to be our critical seating surface. So we need to make sure when people order a stock that we know which action it is that they're ordering for, so we can make sure their critical seating surface is the same, because not all 700s are built the same.
Right.
But aesthetically, ejection ports, bolt handle cuts, bolt stop cuts, things that are specific on our stocks typically that may not be any functional differences, we can leave those open, but let's make sure that we keep that critical seating surface what it needs to be so that it performs like it should.
And then is the bottom metal cut also an option that people have depending on which specific brand they're using and that kind of thing?
It is. We mainly do Hawkins Precision on the bottom metal, and the reason being is that they have so many different options that fit in the same inlet. So they have their Hunter bottom metal, which is what we see here, but if we were to pull this out and go grab a Hawkins M5, the detachable bottom metal, that would fit as well. Or their Obendorf if you wanted to close off the bottom and run a that style. So it really is a great bottom metal, great company, and one that simplifies it for the customer because they can mix and match, and they can really build different rifles with the same stock.
Yeah, everybody that I show the Hunter mag thinks that it's cool. I mean, this is
great.
Built
low
CNC,
profile,
aluminum, really nice facets on there. And then you can preload your magazine, have it in the truck, and be ready to go. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so why don't we get into some of the technical details then? Let's talk about the construction in a little bit more detail. Like, if you were to cut one of these in half, like what would you see?
Yeah, so when we were developing our hybrid line of stocks, and it's been in the works for a while, like we've spoken about it over the past year or two, really, it was one thing where we approached it, again, with a goal that we mentioned, like it needs to be a foundation. It needs to shoot like a foundation, feel like a foundation. We don't want to just build the quickest lightweight stock we can. So what that meant was we spent a lot of time looking at both the process. We wanted the process to be scalable, repeatable, dependable, a consistent product every time, as well as the materials that go into it. So one thing we knew is that part of this needs to be micarta, right? So we can start with the heart of the stock. So the heart of the stock, where the action and the bottom metal sit and where they're inletted, this is a micarta center section here.
Okay.
And so what that allows us to do is it allows us, for one, to have a solid piece of micarta that your action, that your recoil lug is sitting against, that your action is sitting in, that your bottom metal is sitting in. Again, just like our other stocks, there's no need for pillars because micarta has compression strength right there within a few percentage points of aluminum. What it also allows us to do is cut those inlets that we are known for. Precise inlets, cut so that you can drop your actions in there, you can drop your barreled actions in there, and you can go shoot fantastic groups and shoot at the level of a bedded stock.
Yeah, case in point with Samson, which we've got another video on. I dropped in the hammerhead, which it was inlet for, and it almost made a suction sound. Like when I pulled it out, it's like you could feel it pop in and not wiggle at all. And that I've experienced the same thing with, you think maybe should I think about betting, but no, it's just, in my opinion, it's not a need with this.
Sure. Yep. And that's proven out in the data points from the competition shooters. The vast majority do not bed their foundation stocks, whereas on other systems they do. There's nothing wrong with correctly bedding a foundation stock. We've seen no performance gains from it. We've seen the guys at the top level, case in point, a month ago at the World Championship, the IPRF, was one with a dropped-in stock, and to follow that up, second place was also ran with the foundation, dropped in, no bedding. So again, nothing wrong with bedding the stock. There's just no need to do it. And so you'll just notice that our stocks, compared with like a V-block system or some of the other systems, your surface area contact on that action is significantly more, and that goes back to making sure that we know the action you have, so that critical seating surface is what it needs to be.
Yeah. So that's the center section, kind of solid micarta. Let's work out from there.
Yeah, so that center section, it's actually a 2-mold process that we do. So we have a core mold, which allows us to chemically bond the micarta center section with a closed cell foam. So that's going to give us a shape of the stock. And we actually have a utility patent on that process.
Oh, nice.
To how we did that, because that was a big key to what we're doing. We're not going in there and dropping in a bedding block or a mini chassis system into a stock that's made already. It's all homogeneous. It's all one piece, right? So we have that. We have the core of the stock, which is your micarta center section, and you have your closed cell foam. And then over that, we then start wrapping a couple different materials. So we wrap it with a Kevlar carbon fiber weave, both a weave and also some unidirectional stuff, depending on where the reinforcements are. And we go back over that with a seamless carbon fiber weave as well. And that then will go into another mold, which will then inject resin, pull vacuum, heat the mold up, and form the stock. And so at that point, what we have is a flat top stock when we pull it out.
Okay.
Right? And then we take that to our machine shop. We cut the same exacting inlets we do on our other stocks. And then from there, it's let's make it look prettier after that point.
Wow. So it really is different than what a lot of the other guys are doing, right? Like Kevlar, that's not a material that you associate with rifle stocks. Carbon, sure.
Yep. Yeah, Kevlar is unique. So Kevlar has some characteristics that when we were looking at it, we said, hey, let's figure out how to incorporate it. And I will say Kevlar is a bit of a booger. Kevlar is made to be cut resistant. Kevlar is made to not be
puncture resistant tire liners for road racing.
Yeah, you look at the different levels of body armor. You have lighter body armor for knife attacks, and you have different things there. But Kevlar or Aramid, if Kevlar's Aramid's basically the real name for it, but Kevlar would be a brand name for it.
Gotcha.
But it has a characteristic of has a dampening characteristic too, right? Which we know micarta, and what we know in our full micarta line. One of the advantages, one of the things that you consistently hear people say is that it is a dead shooting stock, right? You have your explosion, right? You have your round go off, and it's over.
Right.
So we feel less and we see more.
It's not a tuning fork.
Right. We feel less, we see more, and that's important.
Yeah.
So we wanted to carry that over again to the same notion that it needs to feel like a foundation when you shoot it. And so we incorporated Kevlar into it. It's taken some special tooling, some diamond stuff that the end mill cost kind of knocks your socks off the first time you see it. But we wanted to incorporate that into it as well. And so what you get is you have, like we mentioned, a hybrid stock. You have 3 materials, really 4 if you count the closed cell foam. But you have 3 construction materials that are going into the stock. You have your micarta, you have your Kevlar, and you have your carbon fiber. And so what that carbon fiber gives you is it gives you a high elastic modulus, or resistance to bending, right? So it gives you a very stiffness, okay? Where the Kevlar comes into play is it gives you high torsion strength, for one. Impact resistance. And then think about body armor. How does body armor work when a bullet impacts?
It absorbs the energy and it doesn't tear.
Right. It spreads it out, right? So
right.
if I put a vest on you and we shoot you, which we won't do, but you'd have a big old bruise under there, but it wouldn't even just be right there. It'd be spread a little bit, right? It's going to expand that out. So the Kevlar, in conjunction with micarta in the stock, works in that way. So it's going to create a dampening effect. Also, the closed cell foam, it's a filled stock. There's no just cavities in this. So it all works together to give you the feel that we were after and that we were trying to achieve. And that's all in a pretty concise explanation, but it took a while to figure that out.
I was just going to say, there must have been quite a few iterations of the process and the construction and your manufacturing methods.
Sure.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It was. There was a lot of trial and error. There are quite a few non-perfect ones that were in the construction process. In fact, I joke, Amy, my wife, on the micarta side, I understood machining and manufacturing, and on that side, really, that stock came to fruition a lot quicker with a lot less trial and error than this one did. I'll take my hat off to the guys working with molds and that technology, because there's a lot more nuances to it. There's a lot more things that aren't exact, that you really have to understand and be flexible with how the process is. So it has been a learning curve, but we've got the machines built, we've got the equipment built out, and so now it's really an exciting, a lot of blue sky ahead. It's exciting to see where we're going to take this line, the stocks we're going to build with this line, and just give us a fuller product line to offer the customer to say, hey, we're your choice for competition, and we can also be your choice for hunting.
I absolutely love it. So the first thing I said when I picked this up was, that feels different. Tell me about the finish that you guys put on this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so the finish on these stocks is just a really high quality soft touch paint is what you're feeling on the top. So one of the things with carbon stocks and then with our hybrid stocks is, or any painted stocks for that matter, a lot of times they look similar, right? And we wanted, when people picked up a hybrid stock, for them to know that it was a foundation hybrid stock.
Right.
So we spent quite a bit of time on the finish. The process is actually a 3-paint process that goes on stock, so it's extremely durable. It's not going to be scuffed up easily. You can drop it, you can rub against rocks. It's going to be a very very resilient paint. It is pretty grippy. So one of the things that at least I've noticed, when you have a molded stock, even when there is texture molded into the stock, it's really, you feel it, but it doesn't add much grip to it.
Right.
You slide off it, especially if it's cold. It's slick, right?
Slick
and so what this soft touch does is it gives you that grip. So there's no texture molded in aside from some texture from the paint.
Sure.
But it's very grippy, right? And so that's what we want when we're in a hunting environment, right? Our hands are hot or wet or sweaty or rainy, is that we want some purchase on the firearm. And so that's what we have here with our finish process. We like I said, we spent quite a bit of time on it, and we think we got her pretty dialed in.
And you've got some reveal here as well. This reveal, we've got carbon, we've got Kevlar, we've got micarta, and we've got open cell foam. We can see a little bit of the micarta right here and here.
Sure. Yep.
The rest of this carbon look, is that the carbon or the Kevlar? What is that?
Yeah, that's the carbon. So the Kevlar, you're not going to see that on the outside. So that's woven in on the first layer between the micarta and the closed cell foam. and the outer layer is going to be the Kevlar. So where you would see that would be in a cut along the action area. You might see a little yellow, and that's going to be, or a cut along the barrel channel, that's going to be that Kevlar. Now we can put it on the outside, but honestly, it's not that great. It looks like a bumblebee is really what it looks like. So it's not the best looking material to have on the outside. So the outside of the stock is a full carbon fiber finish on it.
Looks great. I love micarta. I love the way that the other foundation stocks shoot, the non-hybrid stocks, and to have this available now for hunting rifles, I'm excited to build rifles on this. And the data that I've seen so far is really convincing. Like, let's talk about this build. So this was actually a 6GT barreled action that I put together in a different carbon stock, and I thought, we've got a short action Gideon here. This is going to be really fun. Now, one interesting data point is I've done 2 builds now with the carbon 6 barrel blanks, and these have been real shooters.
I was actually surprised. What I typically see with carbon barrels is long strings of fire aren't their friend, right? With our heavy match barrels, we do 10-round strings, 12-round strings, and we're still having the accuracy. With carbons, I've not seen that in the past, but today we saw some. They can walk. We saw some really good results out of this barrel.
Yeah. So if you want to see the full build with all the machining on the lathe and all that, I'll direct you to the Pristine short action story where we put the 6GT together. But it did drop in. It wasn't specifically inlet for Pristine, so the ejection port doesn't perfectly line up. But man, I couldn't believe it right from the get-go. We got our 0. We put a different scope on than was on there before. And a couple of those groups that we shot at 100 yards, you were sub half MOA with 5 shots.
Sure, yep.
And that was after I had just shot 5 shots. And so, like you were saying, if all of you have experienced carbon barrels, 2 different materials can respond to temperature changes differently, right? Coefficient of thermal expansion, right? And so you have to have a really, really good carbon fiber technology and manufacturing method so that the barrel will elongate with thermal expansion without pointing in a different direction. And that's kind of exactly what we saw. So this rifle to me is awesome because it brings together something unique in this lightweight stock world with a carbon barreled action that will actually shoot the way that I want it to shoot. And of course, shooting out to distance was also, this thing was a hammer. Multiple success. I think I had 3 in a row at 700, and we had it at 660, and I think you were doing some tripod shooting at 335 with it. Thinking through all these hunting scenarios. You're shooting off the log as well. Yeah, and with the low profile hunter mag, you can kind of make anything into a support system, with a little bit less work than a big old magazine hanging down. But we did find we can use the regular AICS magazine in that hunter.
You can, and actually my daughter Ellie, who's 11, she shot gap grind about it was 2 weeks ago or so, and then last week she shot Young Guns, which is a running youth match, been running for about 8 to 9 years in Oklahoma, and she wanted to shoot one of the new Gideons, and so her brother was shooting a modified Centurion that I built for them, and then she was running the Gideon with a long mag and being very competitive. In fact, she won it was her first match win, so it's really neat. She won it with the Gideon, so I think it's technically the first match win with the Gideon stock, so she gets to hang that on her mantle, but it was neat to see. So yes, you can absolutely run it with a longer mag, and what that also kind of is a testament to as we run it is, and I may even do this next year competitively. Like, this can run with our competition stocks. There's no accuracy difference that you're getting out of this than our full line of competition micarta stocks, which have fortunately been very successful in the competition world. And
you built a 7 PRC
on
a Gideon. And if you're going to build a 7 PRC and you're going to be hunting, up to 200, 300, 400 yards, maybe, wouldn't you also like to take it out target shooting and shoot at a mile with it? Of course. It's a 7 PRC. It can hold its own. And that just speaks to the level of versatility that you're able to attain with some of today's rifle systems, right?
Absolutely.
And I think this is a great example of that. Maybe slap on a little bit more weight and take this to a PRS match and see what happens. I think this barrel would actually hold up to it.
If what we saw today is any indication, it would.
Okay, so if people are interested in getting a Gideon, are these available now?
They're available
on the website?
They are available from some of our partners right now. They're not
Okay.
on the website. They'll be added to the website shortly. So we're scaling that shop. It's really a whole different manufacturing process. So
Yeah.
we're scaling that shop. We are building them out every day.
Yep.
The number wise will take some time to get up to meet demand. So currently they're not on the website. I would say they will be within a month or so. Some of our partners have them or have had them. They haven't had them very long. But they will be available here shortly. So just keep an eye on us, and we'll make sure to announce it.
And short and long action? For
Short
the
and
time
long
being?
action, yes.
Yeah, very good. Great work on the stock.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
John Kyle, for coming
Yep, thanks for
to
having
shoot
me.
with me and to play with rifles. This has been a lot of fun. What we want to know from you is, what do you think of Gideon? This is a totally different type of lightweight stock technology, a totally different expression of what a lightweight and a very versatile stock can be. If you were going to build a Gideon, what kind of cartridge would you be selecting? What action? What would you be shooting in terms of hunting with it? Would you try and take it to a match as well? Would you be long distance shooting for fun? Why not put it all in the mix, right? Tell us what you would do. Drop a comment and we'll join you down there in the comments section. Thank you for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. Thanks again for watching.